Welcome to the project. Tonight, the great Aussie invasion of American football that has led to a class action lawsuit. So do we have an unfair advantage or are we just better?
We're just better. Plus, the new tech threatening to undermine decades of tough Aussie gun laws. And here's the shocker, it's almost all legal.
Plus, it was the brand at the forefront of the electric vehicle revolution. So why are a growing number of drivers slamming the door on Tesla?
Oh, and the London Comedy Club banning audience members with Botox, which means better change your holiday plans. Wally. Can't go there now, mate.
Yeah.
Good answer, Sam.
Yeah, sure. We're live from the lands of the Cool Nation tonight with Kate Langbrook.
It's so funny the way you keep calling me Kate Langbrook. You know my name is Kate Australia now.
What?
Wait, what?
Meghan Markle. I'm obsessed.
Oh, with love.
Obsessed.
Oh, with the show.
Love.
Obsessed.
I think I speak for everyone in this room. We had no idea what you were talking about.
What is
And
wrong
just to everyone
with you?
in the studio,
I don't speak Kate.
to everyone in the studio and at home, that was not planned. We had no sense of what she was talking about. You're not alone.
You rarely do.
Makes Tuesdays all the more fun. Let's get into tonight's top stories. And opposition leader Peter Dutton is on the defensive tonight. He's been accused of using the fake caravan terror plot to stoke fear within the community while attacking the Albanese government. Labor won't say when it was told the plot was a con, but it's now demanding Dutton admit he got it wrong.
When you're dealing with a national security issue where he ran the script that organised crime wanted him to run, then yes, he has a hell of a lot to apologise for.
This is a complete and utter red herring by Tony Burke.
SEQ Water will begin dam releases for the Wivenhoe Dam tonight as emergency warnings for ex-cyclone Alfred are downgraded. The release is happening as the flood cleanup gets underway in Brisbane, Ipswich and Laidley. Locals who've experienced previous floods say this time the water crept up overnight and then just unleashed.
It is a real torrent. It is rapids and it carries huge bins that are full. It's carried my sandbags away.
Now, staying on Alfred, the cyclone absolutely battered this poor bloke's Gold Coast home. There was a lot of damage. Also, this poor guy's got a broken back. He's not having a great run. Things aren't going his way. But despite it all, my man's managing to focus on the positives.
And you've been talking about making light of this situation. Tell me, what was one good thing that happened to you yesterday afternoon?
Collingwood lost.
I tell you, I'm with that guy. I'll burn my house to the ground right now if Collingwood never can win a game again. I'm happy to do it.
Well, a UK man fired for working remotely from his parents' house, 400 k's from the office, has won his unfair dismissal case. His company argued it never approved him working that remotely and that he actually never did any work. While the judge found the man quite rightly did very little, the company should have interviewed him about his remote work before it fired him.
Wow.
Don't you always wonder, when people win cases like that, how that moment is when they walk back into the office?
Well, they don't. They're 400 k's away.
He doesn't does he not have to now?
Well, he's got a log. It's an embarrassing log back onto Microsoft Teams. just sulking back. It is. Have you guys ever been fired from a job?
No, I don't think
Not
so.
yet. The night is young, Sam.
Hang on, what do you know?
I don't know anything. I'm just sure look, people are gossiping is all I'm saying. I got fired, yes, from Jeans West when I was 18. At Stocklands now.
Fits best.
Jeans West fits best, yeah. I don't know what I did, but they didn't consult me before they fired me. I rang up to get my shifts and they were like, oh, you don't seem to be on the roster. And I was like, but you're the rostering person. And they were like, yeah, you just don't seem to be here. And I was like, but you make the roster. Yeah. And then we kind of just bamboozled each other for a while. And I lost my job. It's quite a sad story. And then I ended up here. This is my neck.
You went straight from Jeans West.
Well, yeah, then I did South Court and then I went here. So, I'm saying, yeah, get in there.
Failing upwards.
I guess you could say that. Yeah. Anyway, I might get fired here. I don't know.
Well, we'll see who's rostered on next week, shall we, Sam?
Oh, okay. All right.
If you're out of the promo, we'll take that as a bad sign, Now, while all eyes are on one American trade war, another equally fierce American-Aussie clash is brewing. The battleground, one of the biggest games in American sport.
American college football. It's an amateur sports league played by university kids. And yet, the hype is real. the multi-billion-dollar business attracting crowds of up to 100,000, TV audiences exceeding 10 million.
Oh my God! Davis is going to run it all the way back!
Of the 10 largest sports stadia in the world, 8 are US college football venues.
Can you believe what you just saw?
But a controversy is brewing involving punters who kick the ball to the other end of the field, specifically Aussie punters.
The punter from down under.
That's right.
It's not a great Australian accent.
It's not a great accent.
Almost half of all punting positions in top-tier American college football are filled by Aussies, former Aussie rules players landing full scholarships to prestigious universities.
There's 70 players from Australia. How is that happening? How is there's 70 players that are on full scholarship?
While Americans grow up throwing footballs, Aussies grow up kicking them, Australia becoming a punting breeding ground.
Learning how to say, what's up, instead of g'day.
Now calls are growing to kick the Aussies out. The father of one American teen punter launching a class action, accusing the National Collegiate Athletic Association of giving Aussie athletes an unfair advantage, claiming lenient age rules are allowing older, physically mature Australian punters to snag the spots of younger American hopefuls.
They're competing against oftentimes 25-year-old Australians with 6, 7, 8 years of Australian Football League experience. So these guys have been punting the ball to each other their whole lives. I don't have a problem with that. If they're 18 years old.
So are Aussies getting preferential treatment, or do they simply possess exquisite kicking prowess that leaves their US rivals in the dust?
Hey, they have great talent. There's no question, but they're grown men. That's facts. When you see somebody that's 30 years old, that's kind of a late start to get into college.
Well, Thomas McMillan is co-host of the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, which is an Aussie NFL podcast. He joins us now. Thomas, do you think the Americans have a reason to complain? I mean, we're talking half the college punters, so we're around 70. They're Australian.
No, not at all. These guys that are, coming in at a later age, haven't grown up around the sport like the other guys have. So realistically, we're coming into the game later. Yes, a lot of them do play AFL, NRL, but punting the ball is very different from kicking AFL ball. So I don't see it being a correlation that they can complain about.
But the age thing does, I don't know, there seems to be a point there, doesn't there? If you've got all these grown men competing against boys in college football, I mean, is there an unfair advantage for us?
Again, I don't know how many of these college kids that you've seen, and a lot of them, 17, 18-year-olds are men already. So I don't think the size of the guys that are coming in is much to worry about.
Now, we've just seen an Aussie win a Super Bowl with Jordan Mailata. It's very exciting, and I feel like there's more eyes in Australia on American football than ever before. Could we see a bigger boom with Aussies kind of getting into the sport? Maybe we could get that number up. Maybe we could have every kicker. Maybe we could even have an Australian quarterback. Dream big,
Oh, absolutely. And Jordan's been huge for the sport down here. But, we've got 6 other players that are currently on rosters in the NFL, and they're all doing great things. And then Flag making it into the Olympics, LA 2028. It's just all eyes on flag football and the NFL football down here. So it's growing year on year, and it's only going to get bigger.
Hey, Thomas, should we be worried that maybe not so much a brain drain, but like a muscle hustle will eventually start losing talented young Aussie kids to America?
I wouldn't have thought so. I think it's something that we should be proud of, the fact that we can send these kids over there. If they are kids at the time, they might be a little bit older and making their own choices by that stage. But should we not be promoting this and the fact that we can go over there and make a difference? And they're also going over there, they're student athletes as well, so getting a college degree and promoting their life, and I feel like it's something we should be up and about instead of trying to bring it down.
Thomas, if they maybe want to cap these Aussies going over there and play, these Yanks, do we hit them where it hurts? Do we ban them from coming over here and playing Aussie ruled football?
Well, Mason Cox is the prime example of that, isn't he? He's come over and technically taken one of our jobs. Are we going to start?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's a great guy, but I think we need to make an example of him.
I've got this. I thought I've got this.
Yeah.
The only Australians that can go over and punt for them are Collingwood players. And then your ban works because then Collingwood don't get Mason Cox either.
Exactly.
Everyone wins.
We get rid of Collingwood. We've solved it.
You've started on the desk here, Thomas. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Work with me on it.
No,
Work with me on it.
Workshop this. I think we're onto something.
Let's go to a break. We'll see you soon. Welcome back to the project.
Well, the search continues for a missing surfer attacked by a shark off a remote WA beach near Esperance yesterday. Witnesses reported hearing screams. A surfboard with bite marks was found a short time later. The man, who lives in Melbourne, was reportedly 2 weeks into a 6-month holiday. The beach where the attack happened remains closed today.
Australians have been devastated to learn former Australian of the Year, Richard Scolyer, likely only has months to live. Diagnosed with an incurable form of brain cancer in 2023, he was treated with pioneering immunotherapy based on his own research. But now Professor Scolyer's brain tumour has returned, and he's revealed the prognosis is not good.
We're still working through things about what the next part of therapy is. Facing death's door, I guess, it's tougher and makes you want to spend more and more time with your family and close friends.
The news business can really harden you and your emotions, but I sobbed when I read that news.
And to see him talk about it.
Oh, a beautiful man. Shouldn't have ended this way.
No.
It's time now to see what's making news around the world.
US Secretary of State Mark Rubio has met with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince in Jeddah ahead of Russian-Ukraine peace talks. On the agenda, Ukraine's proposal for a sea and air truce, an idea Russia has previously rejected. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is also in town, but won't be part of the talks. Fires are still burning after a container ship packed with toxic chemicals crashed into an oil tanker loaded with jet fuel off England's northeast coast. The oil tanker was at anchor. Its crew says the container ship came out of nowhere. Efforts to assess environmental damage continue, but the search for a missing crew member has been called off. And dessert is serious business. So when 4-year-old Desrell Lowry's mum took his ice cream, he called the cops.
This is Racine County 911. My mom is being bad. Oh, this little one got the phone and I just told her to put her to jail.
When the police showed up, Desrell got a warning about only calling 911 for real emergencies. But he also scored some soft serve and got to put the cuffs on Mum.
Oh, nice.
Mum still got cuffed.
Yes. And the kid got ice cream.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a win-win.
Been learned.
Yeah, the police called it a cold case. Guys, come on.
I reckon 2 people liked it.
No. They're my mum and dad. They came in. Yeah.
You still got that model career to fall back
I know.
on.
I'm here for my looks, guys.
More Project after the break.
Looking up project, Sam.
The project, that's right. Now, while you guys have been talking endless garbage on this show, I have been working hard to get this show new sponsors, okay? Because as I always say, good independent journalism needs the backing of big business. Also, I don't want to get fired, so I'm doing my bit here. Anyway, guys, I've landed a huge client, as I always do, Whiskers, the cat food people, and I've got yet another investigation. Cats, what are they thinking?
Oh.
Cats. This one's checking its emails. This one has better dress sense than me. And this one enjoys the music of Gary Newman. So what the hell is running through their feline minds? The answer will shock you.
Yeah, generally I think they're just thinking about food, to be honest.
That's it?
Yeah, that's all they want.
There just had to be more to it. So I did that thing where I ask a series of bizarre questions to find a version of the truth.
You know how people think cats are evil?
Yeah.
Do you think that's an unfair accusation?
I think it is because I think most animals have that in them. We even have that as people.
Speak for yourself, all right? Nothing but pure thoughts up here. What about when you see people walk cats on leashes?
Yes.
What's the cat thinking about there? Are they like, this is humiliating?
I think so to a certain extent.
They'll be like, what if a Sumatran tiger sees me? This is humiliating. So there's no proof to support that cats built the pyramids, for example. That's not a thing.
They probably think that.
They're in contact with an alien species or something?
Because they think they're superior to everyone.
Okay, this has been very eye-opening.
Yes.
Do we need to vacuum you? You've got quite a lot of
I
fantasy
think, yeah,
hair
we'll
on
need
you.
to use a very good lint roller.
I've got Carrie Bickmore's in my car.
There you go.
Just interesting what I'm able to do here with a bit of budget. I can really crack open some cases.
Excellent.
Yep, indeed.
And in other news tonight, rookie driver Jack Doohan is set to emerge from his famous father's shadow when he makes his Aussie F1 debut at the Australian Grand Prix later this week. Jack is a motorsport prodigy. His dad and 5-time 500cc motorcycle world champ Mick Doohan couldn't be prouder.
So there's only 20 drivers in the world, and to get there is no mean feat.
12 months ago, I was hoping, manifesting it, and I'm grateful that it's happening.
Great story.
I love Mick Doohan. One of my sporting heroes, his dad.
So great.
Unreal.
And he's fused, he's fused.
Which means he won't be able to clap his son. It's a shame.
What's with you and hands?
A London comedy club is taking a stand against stiff faces by banning people who've had Botox.
Finally.
Along with ID checks, patrons must pass an expression test to prove their faces can still move. It comes after comedians complained about looking at an audience of straight faces even after telling their best gags.
Yeah, this is a problem. I reckon every time I perform stand-up, there's always a full crowd of Botox people.
Yeah.
It's just,
Really?
it's an
Is it
epidemic.
a bit like this?
What is happening
How
right
long
now?
is this going to...
I also don't think the camera was on Sarah, so...
Do you know what? I marvel at the lengths comedians will go to avoid taking responsibility for the fact that they're not funny.
Oh, are you...
Like,
no,
totally
come on.
blame a whole audience.
Obviously,
Yeah.
everyone's Botoxed up here. My cold case ice cream joke got nothing in here, and I blame it all on these
Only
stiff
Botox.
faces.
Botox, there are studies that say it puts you in a better mood. So if you're going to a comedy show in a better mood, it should help with your jokes.
Oh, OK. Rightio. Well, then pop it in my face if it makes me funnier.
Just science.
Take us to the break with the eye thing.
Now listen, still ahead, a war of words has erupted between Donald Trump and ex-PM Malcolm Turnbull. So could this verbal spat turn into a trade disaster for Australia? You're watching The Project. You're watching The Project.
Well, the fallout over Donald Trump and Malcolm Turnbull's tiff is spicing up tonight. The big worry now that the war of words could tank our chances of dodging the US trade war.
He's a bully. He seeks to achieve dominance. He gets dominance by intimidating people.
Fighting words from former PM Malcolm Turnbull, who today doubled down on his attack on the US president.
Presidency will aim to be the exact opposite of Trump. Where Trump is chaotic, he will be consistent. Where Trump is rude and abusive, he'll be respectful. Where Trump is erratic, he will be consistent.
Those comments yesterday sparking a swift clapback from Donald Trump on Truth Social.
Malcolm Turnbull, the former Prime Minister of Australia who was always leading that wonderful country from behind, never understood what was going on in China. I always thought he was a weak and ineffective leader, and obviously Australians agreed with me.
Turnbull today accused of jeopardising Australia's chance of scoring a steel and aluminium tariff exemption, with Trump expected to make his decision by Thursday.
You were aware that this tariff decision was coming. Was it a wise week to be making these comments?
Every week is a good week to tell the truth.
The former PM launching into another testy tirade over suggestions he should tread delicately.
Has the ABC become so pusillanimous that you're seriously suggesting that we shouldn't be free to speak the truth in Australia for fear of Donald Trump? Is that the depths you've sunk to?
And in case you forgot,
I secured an exemption in 2018.
Desperate for their own exemption, today our current leaders distanced themselves.
He's not a member of the government. Our government is absolutely focused on making sure that we are standing up for Australian exporters.
The Prime Minister has responsibility, as Malcolm Turnbull did when he was Prime Minister, to negotiate with the then Trump administration.
The former PM scathing of that stance too.
I stood up to Trump and got him to do things he didn't want to do because I wasn't being bullied by him. Are we just going to become just a conga line of sycophants creeping through the White House? Look, it's ludicrous.
So, as we sit on a diplomatic knife's edge, is poking the world's most powerful man a solid strategy or a recipe for economic disaster?
Former Foreign Affairs Minister Bob Carr is here to give us his thoughts. Bob, has the former PM ruined our chances of a tariff carve-out?
No, the view in Canberra was that President Trump was moving in the direction of increased tariffs without exemptions, that he was never going to exempt anyone. He did that last time. He doesn't think it worked. And all his advisors were united in telling him you can't exempt anyone, and that includes Australia.
Could this in any way have been helpful, though? I mean, apart from anything else, if you must say this sort of thing as a former Prime Minister, not just as a commentator, but as a former Prime Minister, could you not wait until after Thursday when the decision's being made?
Donald Trump knows that he is no longer the Prime Minister of Australia. He's dealt with a far more cordial and polite and diplomatic Anthony Albanese. If Donald Trump seizes on this, says it's an excuse to hit us with tariffs, he's not telling the truth. Donald Trump was resolved on tariff hikes with no exemptions. Australia's presented itself as someone that will never criticise America, and we get treated as if we're always going to be craven.
So, Bob, do you think the current government should have been more aggressive in the lead up to this tariff decision?
Behind the scenes, I hope we've been saying to the Trump administration, listen, we've uncomplainingly served you up with a base for your B-52 bombers in Northern Australia. We all know they're aimed at China and that they would make us a nuclear target. Should there be a war between China and the United States, it becomes a nuclear exchange. They might have reminded the current administration that under the previous administration we signed up to an awful deal on AUKUS that is so inferior to the deal Turnbull negotiated with the French. We're going to deeply regret it because in the end there'll be no submarines. We won't get the submarines. Talking truth to the Americans but behind closed doors is something I hope we've done.
It's interesting that you say you think it should be behind closed doors, though, because this seems to be the opposite of what Malcolm Turnbull is saying. His whole point seems to be that Trump is a bully, you have to confront him as a bully, and that means just taking things head on and calling things as they are. We're seeing that approach play out a little bit in Canada, I guess we can probably observe. Why do you think that that's not a better approach?
Well, Malcolm's doing it as a former Prime Minister, and I think everyone would be surprised that the serving president is taking his comments so seriously. Do you really think it's normal behaviour for a president of the US to step down from his pedestal, to peer out the window of the Oval Office and comment on what a former Prime Minister...
But Mr Carr, you've made a category error there. This is not a normal President of the United States. We shouldn't expect normal behaviour. And I point you to Canada's example. Like, do you think they're doing something wrong then, if you think behind the scenes is the better way of doing it?
Yeah, Canada's been tipped into recession, and that is a huge fact. Here you've got an ally, a perpetual friend of the United States, that is having its economy trashed by the scale of its tariffs. We're dealing with a strange president. That's true. We're going to be the victim of whatever he serves up. The consensus in Canberra is that we're going to get hit with tariffs. I think our response ought to be diplomatic and cool-headed, but we can no longer naively present ourselves to the world as simply a rusted-on ally of the United States. There's got to be more to Australia's international character, our global personality, than just presenting ourselves as an American puppet.
Bob Carr, it's always a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, anytime.
Let's get some more news now. And work has begun to repair Gold Coast beaches eaten away by Lake Cyclone Alfred. Some sections are so dangerous, security guards have been hired to keep people away. A sand pumping dredge used to resurrect beaches 8 years ago is already on the way to help. But Mayor Tom Tate has reassured tourists the Gold Coast will be ready for the Easter holidays.
Please come and visit us. Visit Queensland. The beach will be open and it'll be great. If you want to help us, we don't want an economic disaster as well.
Neurosurgeon Charlie Teo has settled a civil case brought by the family of a WA woman, Ebony Thurston, who had surgery for brain cancer in 2018. The family sought damages for mental harm that they allege was caused by Dr Teo's advice and the outcome of his operation. They claim the risks had been understated. Ebony died about 6 months afterwards without ever fully recovering.
And when it comes to canine companions, it's probably no surprise that the cavoodle is Australia's most loved dog breed. If you don't know, they're a cross between a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel and a poodle. A new survey has found Frenchies and Golden Retrievers are the second and third most popular breeds. Also in the top 10, Border Collies, Groodles and German Shepherds.
What's a Groodle?
It's a Golden Retriever.
And a poodle.
Everything's, yeah.
Yes.
You know, anything, they get crossed. These are all quite basic dogs, I feel like.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Like, there's no character. I know they're popular. They're popular for a reason, but it's like, where's the cool kind of indie dog?
What cool indie dog?
A Chihuahua?
Yeah, I think I want a Chihuahua. Yeah.
Oh, Chihuahuas are actually stunning, underrated dogs.
I agree.
However, too hazardous to have around the home.
Oh, is that what?
Most of them, I think, die by sitting. Being sat on. Being sat on.
No.
Yes, being sat on and being dropped.
That's why you got to keep it in your purse, your Chihuahua.
Yes, of course, and they'd love that.
They would love it.
Or an East German Shepherd is very disciplined.
Absolutely.
Now, an Aussie influencer is really turning heads from Melbourne to Manhattan as a creative online chef. They call him the Donut Daddy and he's amassed millions of followers with his sultry kitchen style.
What?
Oh, dear.
Oh,
goodness.
I'm famished. Would you please welcome Anthony Randello-Young, a.k.a. the Donut Daddy.
Wow. Bravo. How you going?
Goodness. With all you're doing to your donuts, I mean, does it make them taste better?
I mean, you got to make it with love, you know, every ingredient. So I think it adds to the je ne sais pas of each donut.
So the food sexuality thing's been around for a while. Obviously, Nigella is famous for it. In those sort of cases, though, it tends to be quite subtle. Yours are not. Let me put it that way. Why did you decide they had to be so overt?
Yeah, I mean, I've toned it down a little bit over time.
You've toned it
down? If that makes sense, but
where did you post those videos?
I think I've toned it down.
I can only hope we're showing your early work.
So to me, it's like really normal. But I think it's because I've been doing it for so long. But I've tried to tone it down a little bit more, be a bit more creative. But at the beginning, I was definitely like pretty intense. I think like TikTok were like, you got to tone this down, or like I think they were about to ban my account at one point.
Oh my God!
They're good now, but at the beginning, because I think I was going a bit too overboard, you know. But it was only because I was getting feedback, like the fans kind of loved it, so I was like, we'll just keep doing this. But yeah, I've toned it down a little bit more now. I think it's a little bit more creative at the moment. Yeah.
Well, you've made headlines over the other side of the world for this, and oh, the delight when we found out that you were ours.
Yes.
Did you have any idea that what you're doing would be such a hit?
Nah, to be honest, no. I literally just put a video up and I just did it for fun. And then I realized that there was a lot of dedicated fans to my work, you know? So yeah, and then I just got more inspired to get better with the camera and to slap the dough even harder, and then over time, yeah, just turned into its own. It turned into its own genre, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Now, in all seriousness, these things you're making, they look incredible. They look so delicious. Are you eating them, or are you eating the ones that you're not? I don't know how to fiddling it with. I don't know how you describe it.
Yeah. So, okay. Now, so I do eat them. Not that, because I'm only doing one of these fancy recipes once a week, so I will indulge, but I do a lot of cardio, you know, so it helps me burn off the donuts, you know.
That's so smart.
Yeah, but I do indulge, yeah.
Anthony, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
Do you think we should we collect the Walkley now or later?
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever look at a donut the same way again.
Or a donut hole.
I'm going to download TikTok immediately.
Watching The Project. Back in a moment.
Back with The Project.
Well, it is the sinister new technology threatening to erode decades of hard-fought gun control laws around Australia, with criminals now printing sophisticated 3D or ghost guns at industrial scale for next to nothing.
Queanbeyan, New South Wales. Police bust a major alleged backyard gun manufacturing ring, seizing more than $100,000 in cash and homemade firearms across several properties.
This organised crime syndicate definitely had the capability of privately manufacturing multiple firearms.
Experts say the raid is just the tip of the iceberg. In garages around the country, criminals are printing pistols, rifles and even semi-automatics at mass scale, flooding the black market with untraceable weapons like this one. The ammo he's loading, it's 3D printed. The barrel he's firing out of, that's 3D printed too. Everything is DIY, nothing is regulated, and the total cost? Less than $100 US.
If you just want the base grade model, you're looking at $2,000 to $3,000 for the printer and a few $100s for the materials.
The first 3D firearm was printed back in 2013, but major tech advances mean ghost guns are now often indistinguishable from traditional weapons.
This trend is alarming for law enforcement. We are seeing weapons that are no longer just a single shot weapon. They are now capable of being semi-automatic and they are high-powered.
All you need is a 3D printer, the right materials and a blueprint similar to Lego instructions easily picked up online. That ease of production now in danger of wiping out the gains made by our world-class gun laws created in the wake of 1996's Port Arthur massacre.
Where there's money, there's organised crime, and then we're going to have a lot more people with weapons. That's the bottom line.
We're looking at effectively a US situation coming to Australia in a sort of a de facto way.
There's certainly some work to do, but nationally we are in lockstep. We are united in making sure that Australia remains as safe as that we can be.
It's illegal to make a 3D gun in Australia, but when it comes to owning the instructions, only New South Wales and Tassie impose severe penalties for possessing a gun manufacturing blueprint. In other states and territories, it's perfectly legal.
There is no national uniformity in relation to these weapons, and before these weapons become a tsunami, it's important that authorities deal with this.
But I can tell you now that those other states are also in the process of bringing that same legislation in or something similar to it. But let me be very clear that it has always been an offence to manufacture your own firearm.
Just weeks ago, a Queensland man was charged with attempted murder after allegedly shooting another man in the head. The weapon, a 3D printed gun. And while homemade weapons aren't yet outstripping illegally imported firearms...
Man, no self-respecting hitman will be seen trying to kill somebody with one of these. They will go for very expensive Glocks or even more sophisticated weapons.
It's the low-level criminals who now have access to cheap, easily accessible guns that are causing concern.
We've seen the postcode wars where we've got young guys going around stabbing each other. Well, now, if they can get a cheap gun, that's a frightening prospect.
We're aware that this is an issue. We're aware that it is a threat that isn't just emerging, it has arrived, and law enforcement are prepared for the challenge.
Experts say the time to act is now. And if we do nothing, a stark warning.
People who are in retail, in a petrol station as a part-time, they need to be aware of what might be coming. It's not just knives anymore, not just a wrench. There's a real possibility that they're going to be confronted with one of these weapons.
Oh, it's terrifying.
It's actually probably scary stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, how common are 3D printers these days? Like a few $100?
And they'll only get more and more common.
Yeah. They have to really rush, and police are really worried about this. That this is not toys. This is dangerous weapons. And police are making it a priority to rush through these laws. And if you have a blueprint, that's like holding a gun in your hand.
Yeah, because if that's the offence, then they can stop you from actually making it.
Yeah.
But also the sort of people who want to print a 3D gun are the sort of people that would break the law.
Yeah, it's not about them though. It's about policing it. Because what happens if you get in a situation now where someone hasn't made it yet, but they have a blueprint, they even have the material, and the cops catch them? and they can't do anything about it. So I think it's just giving the cops an extra tool. But you're right. If the impetus is there, they're not going to do it because you asked nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
maybe you need a licence to buy a 3D printer. That could be a solution. I don't know.
Right. So
and if you fail the test, that they're like 2D for you. Unlucky.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an option.
You're still waiting on your pen licence.
All right, now we all love a good political campaign song. I'm a big guy in politics. I love hearing political songs. This effort from the Northern Territory Independent, Phil Scott's team, let me tell you, it's pretty good. Brace yourself, I think, for the banger of 2025.
Oh. We've got to stand up if we want to see
Bit of Olivia.
a future for the territory.
Okay.
Nothing left that we can do. It's the voice we want. Honesty, it's the voice we want.
They're in tune.
Integrity, it's the voice we want.
Okay.
Democracy, the voice we need.
Here we begin. Big finish.
Yes, indeed.
Look, I've never seen it in politics before, but vote for me or I'll keep singing could work for them as a policy.
They could spice it up with some leather pants.
I
The same
agree.
ones that OMJ wore.
Crazy.
Time for a break.
Yeah, sorry.
More product after this.
Guys, let's go to Adelaide right now. The Fringe Festival is in full swing. Great time of the year to be in Adelaide, by the way. It is unbelievable. And this particular show, this man was interviewed about his show. Let me tell you, it promises something for absolutely everybody.
And now you guys have a surprise for our viewers tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because we have a very amazing show. Very good, very nice for everyone. Also for the kids, because we used to play also with the kids with the limbo, you know. And also for the elders, also for the girls and women, you know, because we do love and striptease inside.
Hey, what, naked limbo? Sounds like Kate Langbrooke's birthday party. I mean, there does sound like a lot going on in that show. But the limbo, I guess the kids like the limbo. So let's have a look at this limbo that the kids are loving. God, Mummy, why did the man's tongue catch on fire?
Oh my goodness, that was like Donut Daddy all over again.
Donut Daddy couldn't live up to that. I think maybe not Donut Daddy, it's the most electrifying performance I've seen in this one.
Democracy, yes, indeed.
I'm telling you, 2025 Hottest 100, maybe top 10, whatever that is.
Should we start the push?
Yeah, let's start the push. We'll use our platform.
There we go. All right. It was once the pioneer brand leading the electric vehicle revolution. Now it's the target of the growing movement Tesla Takedown. Former fans of the snazzy cars now not so jazzed by the growing political presence of the billionaire behind the company.
It's safe to say Tesla is in trouble.
Elon Musk has had a rough few days.
Growing rage against Elon Musk.
His close relationship with Donald Trump hurting Tesla's car sales.
Shares in the electric vehicle juggernaut plunging 15% today, its steepest drop in 5 years. A dip that, now try and hold back your tears, would have set CEO Elon Musk back $12 billion.
What are you doing here? I'm washing dishes.
Musk losing an eye-watering $120 billion this year, with Tesla stocks down 55% from a record high of $1.5 trillion in December. Musk today appearing emotional when asked about the state of his business.
How are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty.
It comes after a tumultuous few months for the company. Tesla owners turning against the Trump-aligned mogul in what's been dubbed the Tesla Takedown movement.
I like everything about it, but it was just his name being attached to it that became the issue.
Their beef? Musk's alignment with Donald Trump as his head of government efficiency.
Doge. Perhaps you've heard of it.
And this controversial gesture, interpreted by some as a Nazi salute.
I don't like it, and sometimes you got to have those line in the sand moments.
There was a point after World War II where people didn't want to be seen driving German cars, and we're seeing a repeat of that now. No progressive voter, who are primarily the people who would buy an EV, want to be associated with Elon Musk.
Some using stickers to express buyer's remorse, others turning out in droves for protests at dealerships, some of which have turned violent. Even celebs have been getting involved. Singer Sheryl Crow dumping her ride in outrage.
My parents always said you are who you hang out with. So long, Tesla.
I think the car you own is a political statement, and people are saying, I don't want my statement to be that I support Elon Musk.
So, could this Tesla takedown be the end of Elon's EV empire?
Well, Matthew Hiller is behind the anti-Elon bumper stickers you might have seen referenced in that story. They are being snapped up in their hundreds every day. He's with us now. Matthew, are your sales reflecting what we're seeing in the stock market?
You know, the sales are kind of, they act more upon Elon's actions and what he does rather than the stock market. I mean, I've seen my sales kind of spike whenever he does something crazy.
So when did you realise, I mean, obviously you came up with these stickers. When did you realise there might be a market for them?
Well, in January 2023, I was interested in buying a Tesla. And at that point he had, bought Twitter and started doing his thing and, trolling and becoming more and more right-wing every day. And I just knew that there had to be so many people out there who already had the Tesla that were embarrassed of what was going on. And that was the genesis of it. I didn't buy a Tesla. I already had this little Etsy store, so I decided to just make a Elon sticker that says I bought this before we knew Elon was crazy and put it on there. And the market just kind of found it, and then it went crazy.
Just like Elon. So
Exactly.
Matthew, do you judge people who drive Teslas, especially if they drive them without one of your stickers?
No, I don't judge people who are driving them now, but you may have to second guess someone who's buying one now. I mean, if you're buying one now, you're kind of saying you're okay with everything Elon's doing, or at the very least, you're deeply uninformed, which is not great either. So judge them in that respect.
Could you just be saying that I'm against emissions?
What?
Could you just be saying, I don't like, emissions, I want to drive an electric car?
Oh, sure. You could do that with another EV. Why put yourself in the seat of a Tesla with all that baggage that's now with it? I mean, there's a lot of great options out there now.
What do you drive?
Ooh. I have a Lexus.
Oh.
Not an EV Lexus, just a regular old Lexus.
Hey.
But I would like
Fancy.
to get a EV.
Okay, now does the car you drive really say something about your politics? Like, really? I drive my girlfriend's car. What does that say about me?
Well, I'm not sure your girlfriend's politics, but I would say no. Up until recently, a car would never reflect your politics. It's just simply Elon. He's bigger than all of this. He's made himself the center of everything, and it's bled over onto his brand. And now it's become toxic, and that's where we're at with Tesla.
Matthew, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So what do you reckon? Does the car really make us the man?
I don't think always, but there is something particular about Tesla, I reckon, because buying a Tesla was always a kind of statement.
Yeah, but you know what I'm hearing now?
Yeah.
Ooh, this is the best time to snap up a Tesla.
You're not wrong.
Just a bit dented.
Yeah.
But they hadn't been selling like hotcakes last year, though, right?
No, but I think that was all part of it.
Yeah.
I think there's been this build-up over...
What I'm hearing is bumper stickers are also doing very well. I'm thinking we get in
that's
that market.
exactly the message to take from
News
it.
done differently on the back.
That is it from us tonight. Would you please thank Kate Landrum?